Welcome to Collab Houston. We're a group of youth pastors located in the Houston area, and we're getting together to talk about our years of experience in youth ministry, life, and how to further God's kingdom. Our purpose is to have a dialogue about how to do ministry well in the Asian American, specifically the Chinese community. We also want to have an active dialogue from our community during our sessions, so please feel free to comment during our live stream, and we'll do our best to answer the questions as they come along. Thanks again for joining us. And now, here's Kai, Stanley, Jeremy, and Justin.
All right, welcome back to Collab Houston. I don't even know the name of what we're doing here.
We were so close. We were so close on having a good one. We were so good. We're so close.
We're going to get this intro right one of these days.
Oh, man, Stan.
I was almost there. Hey, welcome again. All right, so today what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about youth ministry fails. We were kind of thinking, everything's kind of pretty heavy on social media these days, and we figured, hey, why don't we talk about something a little bit more fun, a little bit more just lighthearted, so Jeremy was like, hey, why don't we talk about how bloopers or like youth ministry fails or rookie mistakes and stuff like that. And so that's kind of where we're going today, the direction what we're doing, and hopefully it's just a lot of time that we can just share our stories, that you guys can laugh with us, and really it's going to be these three sharing their stories, because as we were discussing,
learn from our mistakes.
Stan has no mistakes. That's why he has.
I had no mistakes and no stories.
We'll expose you later. Don't worry.
Maybe y'all have stories on me that I don't know about.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, though, it's obvious again, Kai is not here with us, and just shout out to Kai and Michelle with their newborn. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. But we have Jen who is joining in with us. So, Jen, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
All right. Hey, guys, I'm Jen. I am one of the youth pastors at the Chinese Bible Church of Greater Boston. I'm actually originally from Texas, but I've been here. This is my 10th year or 11th year? 10th or 11th year, something like that.
You joined us last week.
What? Oh, for the longevity.
The last 10 plus years.
Yeah. I've known Justin for over 10 years. We went to seminary together for a little bit, and then I worked with Stan for a while at CBCGB in Boston. And then Jeremy I just met a little while ago. But I actually volunteered at WHCC for a while when I was living there. And so, it's great to be a part of this. And thanks for inviting me, guys.
Awesome. We are glad to have you here.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't know how we're going to, let's see. We just have a bunch of different sections or maybe even different areas that you guys want to kind of go through. We want to talk about camp fails and mission trip fails and stuff like that. So I don't know, where should we start? You want to start with camp? What do y'all think?
Oh, man. I think
camp probably has the most stories, if anything.
We do have a lot of camp stuff. If you say camp fails, as my first thing is I jumped to Camp Challenge when we were invited to speak there. Jeremy, you want to set us up for that one, because that's not a failure of the camp. It's just I just remember it being like crazy that year.
Yeah, so I think this is 2013.
Was it really? It was 7 years ago.
I think it was like the year that Mel and I were going to get married. So we asked Stanley to speak at our middle school camp. Everything was super smooth. Everything was great. The kids loved Stan. We asked Justin, who had just torn his ACL. Remember that?
I didn't know I had a torn ACL. I just had a knee brace on the entire time.
Yeah. So Justin,
it was nuts.
Standing on the stage. I mean, dude, I remember watching you preach on stage. You look so sad because you were so stuck where you were.
Yeah.
And like not mobile at all.
Dude, it was nuts, man.
Yeah. So we at FBCC, that camp is it's like notoriously known as the virus year, where there was a virus that went throughout our high school camp. Kids were vomiting everywhere. Leaders were vomiting, throwing up, and it was like both ends. You know, we got diarrhea, you got vomit.
At the same
And
time?
Yeah, well, so
Probably.
for some kids, yes, we actually made a quarantine room
That's right.
where
I
one of the
remember that.
side rooms, and dude, Pastor Sam, I love that guy. That guy spent the entire camp mopping up other people's vomit.
Aw.
You know, bless
Wait, did y'all
his
ever
heart.
figure out what caused it?
So
It was
there are a
Stan.
number
Did
of
Stan bring it
theories.
in and left it?
Yeah, we blame Stanley. Like Stanley left it there and like at the door, and then just like went home. That's
Responsible
what we
for
think.
it.
There are a number of theories. So there's patient zero. So here's the standing theory from what I've gathered. There's this one kid, apparently, where the lake is, where they canoe at Buckner, there was a dead deer that died in the water in the lake. Supposedly, okay, this is all in theory. And then this one kid went canoeing, and then he like got into the water, like must have drank some of the water. Anyway, there's, I don't know if you guys remember, there's a slide, like a water slide on one end, and then like a small creek that kind of like trails into the bigger lake. And he went from there to the slide from the lake where the deer was, the dead deer, and then on the way there, he like vomited into this creek that went back to the lake, and then supposedly like all of
Contaminated the water.
Yeah, supposedly that's how it started. I don't know if you guys remember that year. Also, there was like an E. coli or something with the iceberg lettuce in Texas or something.
Bluebell Listeria, was that year too?
No, that was a little bit later. But for us, that year was terrible. That year was so bad because, yeah, I think we had we had about over 220 students there. We had over 60 kids that had gotten this thing, and we were, I mean,
Wait, that was just for the high school one, right?
I was
just high school. Yeah.
Yeah, I left middle school. Middle school was fine. I don't know what happened. I think just
I started preaching, and then all of a sudden it just got worse and worse and worse. So I mean,
Kids like throwing up while you were preaching and stuff, like in the middle of service.
Wait,
Yes.
Justin, did you have to go to? Did you get to catch the virus?
no, I had my own cabin, man.
Okay. So this I actually do have a story. So this is what happened. I caught something the last night of this retreat I was speaking at. And then, I was up all night the night before. It was just like you go to the bathroom, you go to sleep, but you don't sleep because you get right back up and go to the bathroom. So the last session, you see like 10 kids in the back just lying down, just kind of like moaning the whole time. And just like, this is the worst thing. Like that was probably like the shortest message I ever given.
Wait, hold up. You were sick and you didn't tell me on coming into the camp.
No. This is a different retreat.
Okay. I was like, yo, man, you didn't give me a heads up on this one? Because that's wrong.
I didn't give
man.
anybody a heads up if that was the case.
Dude.
No. This is a different retreat. But that was the worst. Oh man.
We've definitely had viruses at our retreats too. There was one time that they got really, really sick at the end, and people were throwing up, and like the counselors were like scooping it up with their hands. We have great counselors.
God.
Shout out to the counselors. They're awesome. They're just like scooping it up and cleaning it up, and we think it was because there's sanitation issues. Like the kids were like, they have like, you know, with their snow, and there's like so much like wet boots and wet socks stuff. Like
What snow?
in Boston, up north, or New Hampshire, actually. Yeah, they just like hang up their socks like in the middle of a room on like a line or whatever. And so we think it was just sanitation issues. And like coming home on the bus, people were just like coming off the bus with bags, like plastic bags of like puke, and it was just so disgusting. But
That's.
Wait, Jen, your counselors like
scooped it up.
hands out, like just like here, throw up here.
Give me some more, please.
And they were
Wait.
you know, it was so, yeah.
Wait. Hold on. Is it like the kid is about to throw up and he's like, and the counselor's like, oh, here you go? Or is it like in the middle of it and he's like, okay, here you go?
I don't know details of what happened. I just know counselors were scooping up puke.
And then-
like,
But then my next question is, are those counselors still there? Because you better keep hold of them. Because that's
we've got great counselors that like stay on for like, it's awesome. Yeah.
so, Jeremy, like Stan knows this because he was there in Boston. But like their camp, hey, tell them about your your winter retreat or your retreat site? Like it's up in New Hampshire.
Oh, it's up in New Hampshire. Yeah, it's like this. We've been going there for years and years. It's like run by these two sweet, like older people that have been there for years, and they run it like it's all volunteer based. It's like really awesome that like the entire place is run by volunteers.
Hold on, but also
it?
tell them about how much it snows real quick.
Yes, Justin bought fleece lined jeans to come up here to speak for us one year.
No, and there's more. Okay, so this is not a fail, but this is kind of a culture shock because I was like, we're from Texas. So I remember going there and I like Stan and Jen didn't even give me a warning of how bad it was. And so I remember it snowed like 10 feet or something a night or something, just something insane. And it was like, we had to walk up a hill. And so they did this.
It's like a mountain, dude. I never walked that. I would drive that up every time. I never walked that. But imagine a mountain, like you go from.
It takes 15 minutes to walk it.
Up. So this is like the dining area to like the meeting area. 15 minutes.
So imagine that, right? And so like already my legs are dying. But what they tend to do, which makes Texas people and Texas camps like wusses, they did this thing at night where it's freezing. They stay outside. It's like a prayer station. And like the counselors are there outside at their station for like 2 hours.
They're awesome.
In the freaking snow. And I was like, I remember as a speaker, I'm like, I'm not going to do this at all. I'm just going straight to the where the heater is. But then what I found out with their camp is they have no central heating, right, in the cabins. And so I was like, well, what do you do?
Cabin.
So apparently your counselors stay up all night, like putting logs in the fire of the room.
Not all counselors do. I didn't.
So that the kids aren't freezing to death.
You just have to get up once, and either the kids can do it or the counselors do it. But they've changed it since then. Like we're not in the cabins anymore. They created this like amazing campsite so that you can like
with air conditioning and like heating.
It's really nice.
Yeah. Welcome to 2020.
Our kids miss that though. They like putting the logs in the fire. And
of course the kids miss it. The counselors must like.
Counselors don't.
God.
It was the worst. So basically, if you don't wake up at like 3 a.m. to refill this big little fire thing, like what's it called?
Fire thing, great. Okay,
basically,
I know that.
If you don't refill it with
fireplace,
your whole cabin's gonna be cold in the morning. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna get up at 3. And then so basically, every morning in my cabin, it was like freezing cold. And sometimes some of the kids were like trying to like start the fire. I'm like, ain't gonna start it. No.
No, we've definitely had issues with the snow though, because one year there was like a bus that was coming to pick us up, and like the bus kind of overturned on the highway and like went into a ditch on the highway, and then we got stuck at the camp because there was no way of they refused to come get us, and so like half the kids were stuck there because one bus got there, so we sent half the kids back, and then like half the kids were stuck basically for the rest of the night, and they had school the next day because it's like at the end of February break, and so it was bad, but.
We have some pretty bad camp bus stories. Remember that one time where that we caught this one bus driver playing Pokemon Go, and I think it was on the way to camp, and like they got called out by one of our counselors or kids, and they're just like, yeah, man, they're like on their phone playing Pokemon Go while they're driving us there. I remember we got pissed.
Like, yeah, we got pulled over on the side of the road too. Like the bus just pulled over and asked all the kids to get out on the side of the highway.
Wait,
yeah,
what?
Because we have 3 buses and one of the buses broke down, or like something was wrong with one of the buses. So they asked every single kid on that bus to get out. We had to transfer all of our stuff on the side of a highway with like 50 kids in this bus, or outside of the bus on the side of the highway. Like it was so dangerous. And they only gave us like a return to like.
Wait, do you tell parents that, or are they pissed, or they don't know about it yet?
This might be the first time.
Right.
They're gonna find out now.
Oh, no, but you imagine so we had 3 buses or 1 bus full of kids and luggage and music. I probably like music equipment, and we're like, hey, like 6th graders, let's get all the music equipment and like move it over to the other bus next to these cars. Oh, it was the worst.
It's like cars zooming by too. It was so bad.
We've had something very similar too, where we've had to like a flat tire for a bus, and then another bus comes, and then you got to move all of the kids and all of their stuff, and I think we had bus problems every single year for the duration of Pastor Sam's tenure as youth pastor. and he was the youth pastor for like 10 years at FBCC. So it was crazy. And just to add on, the virus camp that we had that year, there's the girls' bus. So actually the girls' bus that we had, their air conditioning broke down. And you guys know, August, Texas heat, driving, because Buckner is like an hour outside of Austin to Houston, right? That's 4 hours. And then in the middle of it, our boys were so gracious. They were like, hey, we will switch buses. Okay, so we'll switch buses with the girls. So they switch buses. But you got sick people on this bus. So you got overheated, all the boys came off this bus
vomit
without shirts on. And then they also had bags of vomit that they were carrying off this bus. So this is the kind of, like, when you're thinking about youth ministry fellows, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so terrible. Like, I almost didn't go back to camp after that year. It was so bad.
I feel like only recently we've stopped having bus issues. We've had no AC. We've had horrible drivers. I don't know if we ever lost kids or left kids behind or whatever like that. I think that's the only thing we haven't had. So like bus issues.
I think all our buses have been newer recently with our companies, but you know what's weird though? Up north, they're like school buses. Like none of this poshy. Like, all right, seriously. So I think down here in Texas, like we're like posh and stuff because up there it's just a school bus.
Yeah. We're just weak. We can't handle snow or walking.
$100 for one bus and just have them no seatbelts. They just go up in the school.
Oh, that's the worst. It's snow. They're in snow and in school buses. I'm like, this can't be good.
Yeah,
y'all are so brave, Jen. So brave.
Or they just don't know any better. And that's just what they're used to.
It's just cheap, and
no, it's not cheap. It's the same price.
Really?
Oh,
$700 for buses?
It's
really?
I've compared like the price of a school bus up there is the same price as like a coach bus down here.
Oh no, coach would be like $1,500 or something here. It's so expensive.
Yeah, that's why I never changed it because I was like, we can't do that. Like, it was crazy.
It's not worth it.
It's so much more expensive.
Yeah.
Do you have any other transportation fail stories, or like, was there ever a time where either you or your leaders ever wanted to do some kind of like, Chinese fire drill or like some kind of, let a kid drive something and it just turns out bad? Like, have you ever let a kid drive a church?
I remember what happened. No, nothing really bad. Nothing really bad. But there was another transportation fail. Basically, I was transporting stuff. Like I had one of those like roof cargo boxes, and I had like kids' sleeping bags in there, and it was like pillows. This is up north, and I was driving up, and then the box flew open. I think I lost like half the kids' stuff. It was bad.
I remember taking the 15-passenger van a couple of times to. We went to visit some churches with like low overhead, like the garages and stuff, and I was like, "Hey, man." And I remember the kids going, hey, I don't think this van's going to fit. And I'm just like, man, come on, this is going to fit. And so we get there and we get like half of it, like, of course the front part goes. And then all of a sudden you're just like, and then at that point you don't know what to do because there's people behind you, right? And then you don't want to look stupid. So we have a massive dent and scratch on the top of our van.
Is that why the top of the van is not white anymore?
We've told people. I mean, we've told people, but oh my god, it was pretty bad. I was like, it's gonna fit. Like, come on, 15 passenger vans fit underground a lot. So, church property stuff, man. That's. Have y'all had any issues with church property stuff? Your kids ever do anything to break stuff at church or people's houses?
We've definitely had like holes in the walls because like kids get pushed into it or like run into it. And it's just drywall.
Or chest bump it. I don't know if you remember that one.
Wait, what?
They chest bump. They won a game. There's one kid. He won a game and he chest bumped the wall. I don't know if you remember that, Jen.
Hold on. And the wall broke.
There was definitely a chest size or torso size hole in the wall.
That's either a weak wall or that's a strong chest. That's a strong.
Jen, you know what I'm talking about? You know where?
I don't remember this.
No. Okay. So go down to where you pick up the food in the basement, and
Uh-huh.
then look on that side
It's still
wall.
there.
Right here.
There's a
Yeah.
poster.
Here's the railing, the food opening thing, and to the left, right there, that wall, that little area where everyone waits in line. It should be patched up.
Okay.
There's like
Jeremy,
a crater there, or what is it?
No, they probably. I mean, they patched it up. I think
I
they put
remember-
like new sheetrock.
There's a
remember-
poster there now.
He's like lift up the
It's a-
poster and stuff.
Yeah. Like, wait, Jeremy, you're telling me out of all the years, you've never had any property-related stuff going on with a bazillion kids that you guys have?
I mean, and the one that I definitely remember is we were playing a game called Touch Score. I don't know if you guys ever played it. So it's like you can play in a very confined space. Basically, you section it off so it's like an aisle. We play 3-on-3, and then you have one ball. So it's kind of like ultimate. You pass it down, and then one ball, you have to touch the ball on one wall, and then you score on the other wall. So you have to pass it all the way down and then pass it back. So with like ultimate Frisbee rules. And then this one kid we're playing in our old youth center, so building 2 of FBCC. One kid made like this diving catch, and then he caught the ball to score, and then he wanted to touch the wall, but he just used his elbow and then kind of landed, and then there's just like this crater
Nice.
in the wall. And I didn't see it happen. I just heard this like crash, and then he's like, yeah, scored. And then he like ran off, and I'm like, okay, great. And then later on, I'm like, dude, what the heck? There's like a hole here. And he's like, oh, like, yeah, sorry.
Because that would be my second question. Like, do you still play after that happens, or just call it a night? Like, if there's a thing there.
I usually just keep going unless it's like a really serious injury, to be honest. I know I'll get in trouble afterwards, but that hole was there for quite some time. And then finally we patched it up when we remodeled it. And so
I can only think of one, right? So I think I was out that Friday night, and it was like Friday night games or whatever. And then I remember somewhere in the middle of, towards the end of the night, I get a text message from one of my leaders. And I think as all youth pastors, you get a text message from a leader during a youth event that you're not there, something bad's gonna happen, right? Like no one texts you that like kids get saved or like, the spirit's moving, but it's like, hey man, so you better call the senior pastor. And so I remember I get a text from my leader, and all it is not even a word text, it's a picture of a hole. And my first question is like, what is that? And they're just like, we played a game tonight. And then I kept on asking like, well, what happened? They're like, well, we played like or something in the dark, and one of the kids got really into it and like he slammed into the wall and stuff. I don't remember what you do at that time. I think I mean all you can do is just be like, well, make sure the kid's okay. And then I think, do you call your leadership and just be like, by the way, there's a hole in the wall, it's our fault, take it out of the kids, like the youth budget or something? Like, what do you do?
Kids ministry did it. No.
Yeah, take out the Mandarin ministry. I think they got the cash for it.
There's this one time this kid ran up to me at retreat, and he was like, hey Jen, I think you should come over. There's like one cabin that's like really, really far away. So it's like you have to take a bus over there basically, or walk a really long time to even get to the dining hall. And so he was like, I think you should come. And I was like, what's going on? He was like, there are kids that are they're competing on how far they can pee out the window.
Wait, hold on. Is this high school, middle school?
It was junior high.
Oh, of course.
Oh man.
It was like off the balcony, and like there's snow, so you can tell where they're peeing. Right?
Wait, why would they call you to go? I mean, are you?
I don't know. They were like, I think you should say something or do something. I laughed. Like, I didn't do what a good youth pastor should do. I should have been like that's.
Oh.
As a girl, do you like, hey guys, and y'all need to stop it right now? Like, where's the child abuse policies there?
Yeah, I don't know. So, anyways, we were worried about like pee everywhere.
It's good to know that middle school boys are kind of the same all over.
Yeah, You're just hyper competitive, like just not
P
not
story.
aware.
Oh, what's the other P story, Jeremy? What y'all remember that one? I did. Well, this wasn't when we were in ministry. The P story.
Oh yeah, man. My last year at Discovery Camp as a camper, I was playing basketball with some guys at Forest Glen, And then we got called over by the counselors because some guys had peed in a bottle and started spraying other people with that pee bottle.
Oh my
Yeah, and then all of us got in trouble, and I was so mad. I was like, "What the heck?" Like, I think Stanley, you were at this camp too with me,
It was Stan's pee. It was actually his bottle.
dude. If it was
Got
Stanley,
it.
you ruined my life, ruining.
All right,
it was guys that are older than me. I just can't remember who they were. I remember.
No.
Hey, if anybody's watching this remembers that year and remembers any of the details, like
Yeah.
just comment below and remind me. I just remembered that the counselors like came out and gathered all of the guys together and they were like, "You guys are in trouble," and I was like, "What did I do?" But it was like pranks gone terribly wrong.
Do your students play pranks on each other right now?
They're
I
not.
guess they're not allowed to.
We write it in our camp manual. You're not allowed.
They're not creative enough.
Because there was a year that there was one group that there was a pregnant like counselor that was living upstairs in one of the cabins.
Oh
And the
god, this
kid-
can't be good.
They took like little styrofoam cups and they poured water in them and lined all the steps. And she got up in the middle of the night and had to pee, and she couldn't go down the steps because he'd spill everything going down or whatever. And so,
Yeah, that's not self-aware, man.
yeah, so we took away pranks.
Oof.
That's a pretty good prank, but that's
That's
pretty
pretty good. So
Wait, was the water frozen too, or what?
No, it was like wet. It
Oh my
was gonna be
gosh.
easy. You could just knock it all over, but yeah, it's water.
I'm pretty glad that our kids don't do pranks anymore, because. But like, I remember when we were in youth, we had some pretty bad pranks, man. Like
We did
I remember one
pranks.
time. This is when I was a youth. We I don't know how, but some kid had liquid Novocaine. I think he took it from his dad's pharmacy cabinet or whatever. And so there's this like one young kid that we were hazing. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. And so we replaced his toothpaste with liquid Novocaine. It's actually pretty genius because we took a syringe and we took the liquid Novocaine and we replaced it into his toothpaste. And so we were getting ready for bed and he was brushing his teeth and all of a sudden he's like, we were like cracking up. And then looking back, we're like, oh my God, this is so dangerous. He could have like swallowed his tongue or like, like we just didn't know. And so I'm like, it's stuff like that. That's just like, oh my gosh, you're just so not aware of these things.
That's so crazy.
That's pretty bad.
No.
Pranks, man.
Man. Y'all have any maybe like mission trip stories or anything like that? Anything happen on your trips?
Have you ever lost a kid on a trip?
I have in New York City.
You've lost a kid in New York
Yeah.
City.
And after that, we had like very strict, like we need your number. You need to keep your phone on you. You can't use your phone, but you need to have it in case you get lost, So yeah,
Wait, what happened? Did they just like run away or did y'all just forget them somewhere?
we had like a time that we were supposed to meet. And then this student actually like had a tendency of losing his phone or like not having it on him. And so we tried calling him and he didn't pick up, and I tried calling him and didn't pick up, and like everybody had met. And everybody was like in the meeting spot that we were supposed to meet at. We were just at like a shopping like mall or whatever. So it wasn't too bad. But then like I just broke down and I was like, oh my gosh, like I lost a kid. He's dead. Like, somebody stole him. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna get sold. And it's just yeah, it was not good.
Man.
But he finally came back and he was like, oh my gosh, I just lost track of time. So oh my goodness. Yes.
You start hugging him and start crying and he's like, what?
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
Yeah. I was so like upset because I was so worried.
My worst mission trip moment was went to Malaysia with a lot of the upperclassmen. I think there's like 12, 13 of us total. And so my cousin Joseph was one of the guys who went on this trip with us. And we forgot and we drank the water with the ice. And like apparently that's something that no foreigners should ever do. And so because we were at a church camp too. We were running the church camp for the church of Malaysia. And so we drank the stuff and immediately we got sick. So we were like sick the entire time. But towards the end, it got really bad. So prior to the lead up, this is the last day. We're about to go home. And then Joseph kind of like, he's like slouching. And my thing was like, dude, man, like, be a man. Like, it's the last night. You need to stop being whiny and stop trying to like be tired and stuff. Cause I didn't know he was that sick. And I was just like, come on, just man up and, quit whining like a baby. And he's like, I'm not whining, man. I'm just really sick. I'm like, yeah, I'm just sick of you whining. And so he just stands up and he's like, hey man, pass me that bowl. And I'm like, what? He's like, pass me the bowl. And he looks, and I give it to him. He's like, "Ah!" And then all of a sudden he's throwing up, but he's throwing up like it's blood in there. Oh, and I'm just like, okay, this is pretty bad. So we call one of the sponsors and like, hey, I think they're like, what do you do? He's like, let's go to the ER. And so we go to this like ER. We have no kind of insurance. We go there. They hook them up to an IV. They get sent home. Apparently they give him charcoal to eat to kind of like cleanse the system, but immediately just throws up everywhere in our host home's house. And so he's puking in their, it's just me and him. And then all of a sudden, like their maid comes out and she looks at all this throw up and she just gets on her hands and feet and she's just like cleaning it with a rack. And me and Joe are like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, you don't have to do that. We'll do it. But what's worse is we're there. We just sleep, and our whole team is at the dinner place, and we get there late, and we meet them, and then we start feeling like him and I both feel bad all of a sudden. And so they're like, hey, just go back to the hotel and we'll just meet you at the hotel. And so we're like, okay. And so we get a cab and we just tell them the name of our hotel. And our guy's like, oh, okay, whatever. And we just get in and we're like, that should have been the first sign. But he just starts driving. And it should have taken 10 minutes. After 45 minutes, Joe and I look at each other and we're like, this can't be good, man. So, cause like, we don't recognize what's going on. It's dark. And then all of a sudden after we like look at each other, we turn into this alleyway where it's completely pitch black. And Joe and I look at each other. I think we're holding hands at this point, and we look at each other and we give each other a look like, okay, this might be it, man. Either we're getting sold or we're getting shot or something, or like whatever. We're holding hands and we look at the guy and we're like, hey, are you lost? Can we tell you? He's like, no, it's okay. And then he stops the car, gets out of the car, and just runs out as fast as he can. And Joe and I are like, what the heck? Like, do we drive ourselves? Do we get out? Like, I don't know where we're at. And so he comes and like, I just remember thinking, at least he's my cousin and at least my aunt would know that we both died together as family. But I remember thinking like, this is the worst possible thing that can happen on a mission trip. So that was crazy, man.
Did the guy come back afterwards or what?
Yeah, but he brought his friend, and like, at that time we didn't know, but he brought a friend and he sat in the car and we just all drove together. And I'm like, this is insane. This is why I'm like, man, leading an international mission trip on your own, that's pretty tough, man. And like, I give props to parents who trust us enough to do that, because I'm like, I'm out of my element. I feel like I'm not an adult. What am I supposed to do? Is something just. By the way, parents, if y'all watching this, like, I think I know what I'm doing now.
We're really trustworthy.
Yeah,
that's the.
We're all alive, right? I mean, most of our kids are still alive, right? I mean, it's part of it, right? We're fairly responsible. We have good insurance now.
I remember we took a trip to Thailand, and some of the guys woke up and there was a snake in their room. Like, it's like an outdoor, they have like, an area above them that's like just open, and like snakes would come in. And like the grandpa basically came in and just like handled it and just like grabbed it and then just like threw it outside. It was like, what the?
No, no.
I think leading trips internationally as the main person is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because there's so many things that can go wrong.
Yeah, you hear those stories of like vans getting like held up and stuff like that, like girls getting raped, and like it's just bad. It's scary.
Mission trips, or are you just saying like the movie Taken or something?
No, like part of like some story on mission trips where like like down south or something that they
yeah.
We're careful when we go places.
I think now I'm trying, just because of these instances, I'm trying to like at least have half of them that are adults. 50% adults at least.
Yeah.
So man,
there's one mission trip that I took just juniors and seniors to South Central LA. And then for one, so a couple of fails on my end. One, I didn't bring any like actual adults with me. I just brought some of our like camp leaders who I trusted.
How bad can it be, right? It's just
Yeah.
having fun, just with a bunch of
But-
kids.
If you
South
if you
Central.
know South Central LA, like, well, one, it was like some of our girls were more interested in looking cute than following the rules that we were set. And it was during that time where like really bright sports bras were popular. And so that wasn't actually too bad. Here's the really bad thing that happened. One of my guys, one of the rules I had was, hey, I don't want you on your cell phones. And then the first morning when we get there, I walk in and he's on his cell phone, and I'm like, dude, like, give me your cell phone. And then he like gets up in my face and he's like ready to fight me. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna go down. Like, I have no other adults here. Like, I'm about to fight this kid. And so like I bring him outside and he like gets up in my face and he's like really mad. He's like, I am not giving you my cell phone. And I'm like, you better give it to me. Like, I don't know what to do here.
You can't touch them,
Like, give it
but
to
you know you
me.
can whoop them.
Yeah. Those
You
kids
can't touch them,
were
but you
bigger
know
than
it's
me,
gonna go
man. This
down.
kid was bigger than me. I was like, oh my god. Oh yeah, I've never had like, I mean, I've gotten sick on mission trips, but like mission trips are really scary for me. Like just going out there, handling, like being in charge of people is a scary thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm gonna be a dad. That's gonna be crazy. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
responsible for another human being.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh man.
yeah, hey, like I know, like we've been talking about mission trips, but I kind of want to ask you guys, like, have you guys been to like with socials or outings, like places that you've taken your kids and you're like, no, this was a disaster. Like this sucked. This was terrible.
I didn't take my kids there, but we usually have like outings. We have small group night out, and so some of the small groups just choose where they go. And this one group went to a trampoline park, and I think they were junior hires at the time. And one of our kids was playing a dodgeball. You know, they have those like, you know, foam dodgeball, whatever pits or whatever, where they like run and they play with each other. And like one of our kids got punched by another kid like during the game because he was so pissed off at our kid. I don't know what happened, but the other kid got banned from that place because of it. And this kid came home having been punched. And so like he's like such an innocent, like, you know, like little kid, like junior hire, and he just got
Oh
punched.
man.
Did he get punched like in the face? You know what happened?
I think he got punched in the face, but I'm not really sure where he got. I just heard he got punched. I don't know what happened. Yeah. He was okay
Yeah.
though.
That's good. That's good to hear. But for trampoline parks, I'm never taking my, like, hey, FBCC kids, just know, if you're listening to this, we're never going to trampoline parks. The very first time we went, I met this like one of our students had brought one of his friends, and this is my first time meeting him. He apparently had did a front flip, and then when he landed the front flip, and then when he landed, his knees came up and smashed himself in the face. And so I met him, he was like, here's my front tooth. There's like a hole right here. He's like, here's my front tooth. What do I do with this? And I was like, I don't know. I don't like, why you like, I'm not a dentist. I don't know what to do here. Right. And so like, that was like super traumatizing for me. And then after that, we didn't go for a while. And then my students convinced me like, hey, trampoline park is going to be fun. I'm like, fine. Okay. So this is the second time we go. Like 15 minutes in, one of my kids comes to me and he's like, oh, my arm really hurts. Oh, my arm really hurts. I'm like, okay, like, do you need to go to the hospital? Is it broken? Should we call your mom? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And so I talked to the management people there. We get a bag of ice. I fill out an incident report. And so I'm like, hey, like, I don't think you should jump around. I'm just going to sit here with you. So I sit with him for the rest of the time. And then after like 15 minutes, like, oh yeah, I think I'm good. Like, I want to go jump around. I'm like, okay, you feel good? Like, okay, I guess that's okay. And then for the rest of the night, I'm like, I don't see him. The next week at church, a week passes, the next week at church, dude comes in with a cast. And I'm like, what happened? He goes, oh, I broke my arm. And I was like, you had a broken arm this whole time and you didn't say anything? He's like, well, it kind of like it worked. It just hurt a little. I'm
Were
like,
the parents pissed?
no, I mean, thank God these parents were like they were
Yeah,
super
dude, man. They start
gracious
sending you
about
the
it.
medical bill and
It was
stuff.
just
Oh
like,
my
oh
gosh.
gosh. But yeah, like, I'm never going back to a trampoline park. Never.
I don't think I'll take our kids now either. After your
Yeah, dude, for real.
Hey, Jeremy, there's this comment. It says, how about the time we rode motorcycles for the first time in Thailand and crashed it into the wall.
Oh,
What happened with that?
Wait, what?
What?
is that Oliver? Is that Oliver Huang?
It is Oliver.
That was when I was in college. This was my freshman year. Oh, yeah, like Oliver and I thought that it would be really good, like really smart of us to learn how to ride motorcycles. It's not easy. It's man, Oliver, if you're watching this, yeah, and then and that mission trip, we got sick. We got super sick. There's the two of us, me and him, as the only guys, and then Grace Xiao, who is now Grace Lin. She married John, right? She was leading that mission trip to Thailand, and then the entire team, like that was one of those like coming out of both ends at the same time. He and I had to take turns. It was so gross. Like Oliver, I remember that. It was so gross. It was so bad. Like he would go in and then he'd be like,
That's awesome.
dude. I remember he came out one time and he's like, dude, it's bad. Don't go in there. And I'm like, I don't have a choice. I gotta go. And so I'm in there. I'm sitting on the toilet and I gotta turn around and then vomit into what I just did into the toilet. So those are the times it's like, that's bad. Like,
Splash in the face. So you ran into a wall? Wait, you actually ran into a wall with the motorcycle?
oh yeah. We were trying. Yeah. We weren't going super fast because but it's bad. I have separately. I've tried riding motorcycles in different places. Like Mel's cousin let me ride his scooter in Taiwan. My dad has a Harley. Every time I've gotten on a motorcycle or some kind of two-wheel moving vehicle, I have either crashed or dropped those things. And so that's separate.
Who pushed it? Was it Oliver's idea to do that?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and blame him for that.
That's awesome. I love Oliver, man. He's great. I can only imagine you guys doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's pretty good, man.
Some bad stuff for me, man. Yeah, you remember? Thanks for bringing that up, man.
I remember regrettable moments. I think early on, I don't know why, but I thought it was a good idea to take my 6th grade boy small group to watch Harold and Kumar at the movie theater.
No.
So one time I took the middle school boys to watch Harold and Kumar, and then another time I watched Borat. And I remember, like, in the first, 10 minutes, I'm like, this is really bad. This is really bad. This is really bad. So I remember those. That's probably not that very good.
Can't believe you still have a job.
Yeah.
I wonder if our senior pastors actually heard all of the stuff that we've done.
No.
How they would react.
No way, dude. I don't think most of my parents have heard a lot of these. It's come in bits and pieces and stuff. So.
Any more bad decisions like that from you?
I'm pretty sure there's a ton. I just don't have.
We've learned from our mistakes. Like we had a kid, they were playing foosball, without any supervision, I don't think. And so they were just playing foosball. And I think at one point he bent down to grab the ball that had popped out or something like that. And the kid on the other side jammed the hole into his eye. And so he was bleeding and stuff like that. And so since then, we have now put covers on them. So it's a little bit softer.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I should probably do that too.
Yeah, but
we should probably do that too.
Yeah, I'm really upset.
I don't know if I should be laughing, but that's still pretty good.
Yeah, it's very dangerous because you could hurt some, they could be blinded.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
So it was an accident. It wasn't on purpose or anything, but it was still bad.
So does any of you guys do food related games still?
We play Gluttony. Every 3 years we play Gluttony, and I learned this game in Texas actually, and it was
from us or from Houston?
Explain the rules of Gluttony.
What is
it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy.
Isn't that one of the sins?
It's not, so
next game we'll play Sloth and then ND Murder.
It's basically a black plastic bag and it's filled with food. And whatever you grab, you have to eat all of it. And so there's regular stuff like a fruit roll up or a Coke or beans.
Too easy.
Or
Too easy.
there's garlic. Or there's
garlic, a bulb.
One year we had, the first time that we did it.
Bitter melon.
because he had to eat limes, and we did this outside, like on a basketball court in Texas when it's hot, right? Like, and they go play games afterwards. And he grabbed a bag of limes, and so he had to eat it. And I didn't know this, but you guys should know this: is that if you eat limes, it stains the skin, so it turns dark brown. So he ate it, and he had like this brown like thing all around his. For the rest of him.
Wait, does that show up immediately?
No, it showed up like.
Oh my god, that's a great prank, by the way. That's hilarious.
I think
we should
basketball or
we
something.
should prank
Start spraying lime juice on kids at camp.
Turning them brown.
Oh, it's too bad we don't have camp this year. We got to remember
Oh
this
my
for
God.
next year. Just
We fill
lime
the
juice
pool
bottles.
with
Instead
fill
of-
the
instead of
pool
pink,
with
it's
lime
lime
juice. Oh my gosh, that's a genius prank.
We still play this game here. There's kids that puke almost every year. But they're troopers. They're like wanting to win the game. So like, they're like there's this one they're like there was one kid that like drank like a can of Coke. And basically after he drank it, he started throwing up and it like splashed on the kid behind him. But the kid was like, move over! And he like grabs the next thing, just like
How do you win this game? How do you win?
No,
when
we're
you
all
laugh,
losers. We're all losers, but we're all winners.
Don't throw up, you win.
This is the best thing about youth ministry. It's just like whatever it takes to win.
There's like cans of Coke, like those Vienna sausages that are like straight out of
Oh no.
straight spam. Raw.
Food games are the best, but it's so bad. It's so bad, man. I remember one of our winter retreats. We had we did this camper counselor challenge, and they were like challenging each other to a gallon of water drinking, and they were just chugging it. And like I remember everyone was around them. It's like the final challenge for like 1,000,000 points or whatever, and everyone's just cheering them on. And so I know the counselor just finishes it, but the youth barely finishes it and just bucks it towards the trash can. Just before he gets to the trash can, he just throws up everywhere. And the funny thing is, like, not funny, but it's actually really dangerous. But what was funny at the time was we're all cheering, like, yeah, and they're like, oh, like, because you never know that how far it's gonna get, and then all of a sudden something until someone throws up, and you're just like, bad idea, man, bad idea,
Yeah.
instant regret. Oh man, food stuff the worst.
We've definitely played games that are like inappropriate, or not. Like it's like now that we know what we know, we shouldn't play that game. Like we had this game where like we had kids smear peanut butter like all over their face, and we had to throw gummy bears like at their face, and basically like
We did that in Arlington, remember?
yeah, I did it here too. But that's probably not a good idea considering
Now that they're allergic,
Yeah.
they're just like they're suffocating inside the peanut. All right, so
Sniffing up the nose.
this could be the same winter retreat, but I remember one time we were making this secret punch. We didn't tell the kids what it was, and we're like, hey, guess the secret ingredient. And we made this one girl drink it, and she was like, is it berries? And we're like, no. And she was like, is it juice? And we're like, no. And she was like, is it almonds? And we're like, how'd you know? She's like, because my throat's closing up, because she was like allergic.
Oh,
She
no.
was like, hold on a second, I need to go get my EpiPen from my room. And so she runs to the thing. But the funny thing, we were like, no, keep guessing. And then she was like,
It's so bad.
Oh.
oh man. Now there's like all of these like things we have to watch out for as far as food challenges.
I'm surprised
Oh
that
man.
no kids
Yeah,
have
that's-
that to watch.
That's one of the reasons why we don't really do food challenges anymore, because we have to think of so many alerts. Like we're poisoning our kids. Like
This is true. I can't laugh at this anymore. This
Yeah.
turns deadly.
We have to say stuff like if you're allergic to milk and peanuts and fruit and all this stuff, then don't play this game.
Yeah. Oh man. Youth ministries, food games.
Games in general. We've
Yeah.
definitely played some games that are questionable.
oh yeah.
Like Pong is the
Pong. Pong is the greatest.
It is the greatest game. It brings people together, man. But at the same time,
It's an icebreaker.
yeah.
Wait, Jeremy,
leg
you know Pong.
breakers.
You know what Pong is, right?
Yeah. I've never played it.
Oh
Actually.
man.
I've seen it played. But I've actually never played the game.
I
And I don't think I
depends
want
on-
to.
I think it really depends on who you play it with, because it's no fun if they're just kind of softly hitting people. Like, it's more fun when they're just going crazy and they're just slapping the mess out of people. Like, that's
I remember like trying to instigate that. Like I would just go at it, so then everybody else around us would do it, you know. But then like I had a login once, and then like we played all night, and then kids just went home with like purple legs, and it was just bad. Like parents were
could you imagine a TikTok of like a youth pastor just beating their kids with a smile on their face? Like, that's what just...
like these kids can never in so much trouble.
Social media ruined everything, man. You can't do anything. You can't play these games anymore. All the classic games you can't play.
All our games now is making TikToks, and that's real fun.
Yeah, I know, man. This is just no more fun anymore.
Just stick to big win blows, guys. That's the safe. Well, even that game's not safe, because I remember one time these two kids collided in the middle of trying to get to different seats. Yeah, that's a lot of our games are dangerous and a lot like quite questionable. I remember like when we had our first CMC in Houston, and then I was in charge of the stage games, and then man, Pastor Jody pulls me aside one night, and she's like, "Hey, Jerry, just want to let you know." And she's like being super loving about it. She's like, "I just want to let you know that some of the counselors are really concerned about the type of games that we're playing."
So you gotta tell us what type of games you were playing.
They're very alcoholic, suggestive kind of games. And I was like, oh, okay. But we kept playing them because that's all the games I planned. Like,
man.
Okay, granted, I probably should have done the one where because one of them was like, spin around on a bat and then go try to do something, like flip a cup, you know? I probably could have taken that part out.
The cup part?
Yeah,
the drinking, because it just looks like this guy, like this.
That's what makes it fun, right?
That's what makes it.
But yeah, I mean, I like, not to say that I probably shouldn't have done that, but yeah.
Man. I appreciate those games. I thought those were hilarious.
You know, actually, that CMC, I actually got in trouble with GRB as well, because I don't know if you guys remember, there was one of my games that I had brought those foldable scooters.
Yeah.
So one of my games was actually using those, and then GRB was like, "You can't play with those. You can't have those in here." And so the GRB staff talked to me, and then Jody talked to me, like, "Man, all my games are getting me in trouble."
What's wrong with a foldable scooter?
I think you just can't.
It's too fun.
You're just scootering inside like a convention center. I thought it was spinning around the bat and then going on the scooter. Maybe not. I forget.
Yeah, I did something like that. Yeah.
I'm surprised that we're still back out there every time. Then
it's only been one more time after.
No, this is true. Oh man,
I think it's over at Dallas now.
Yeah.
So glad. We have really bad punishments for games.
Punishment stuff is What was your worst one, or what are some of your highlights?
Probably like licking a toilet seat.
Oh, gross, man.
We do tamer ones right now, like writing your name with your butt. You know, that's like a tame one. But yeah, before we used to have stuff like licking the toilet seat.
So good.
We've had some pretty bad ones. I remember I was the loser of there's this we played this punishment game called Go Home, and the punishment was everyone who was playing, and I think at that time was like 25 people, took turns spitting into your hand.
I think that's on video.
I don't like.
It's a video. It's on YouTube. And so everyone spits in your hand, and you're supposed to just like do a facial with it.
Was this at Arlington? I remember this.
No, this was in someone's house, man. Okay, there's another one where we and I don't know why I come up with a lot of these punishments. There's another one where you had to clip all your finger and toenails from everyone who's playing, and you had to chew them for like 10 seconds. Oh my gosh, that's the worst.
I am never playing games with you, Justin.
I
This
guess
is like
that's the
the
reason
beginning
why.
of right? Beginning of youth ministry.
No, this is like in the middle, man. I'm more creative now, so I have like these better punishments. Like there's these punishments that no one would ever want to like play, like shave an eyebrow
gross.
or
You
yeah.
can send me your list of punishments, okay?
Oh, I have some good ones. I got some good ones.
That's good.
Oh, by the way, someone wanted me to ask the question: are we really at 100 subscribers at this moment? Because
Yeah.
I have to honor my bet.
We've been at 100 subscribers for like
Dang.
probably like a month now.
You have
We
to
hit it
shave
pretty
your
quick.
you have to shave your eyebrows.
No, I'm not shaving my eyebrows. I said if we get to 100 subscribers, I'll let my kids shave my head. So,
Oh, okay.
I'll
We're
have
gonna
to
do that
figure out
next
how.
time. We're gonna do it next time.
I mean, they're sleeping at this time. I'll record it. I'll go live on my account, and then we'll just repost it somehow.
Nice.
So I'll do it. I'll do it this weekend, I suppose. I gotta find the longest guard I have for a razor. Because I know the little one, man. She's just gonna like.
She's gonna like stab you with.
She's gonna
Dude,
get my
you better
eyebrows.
watch out.
She-
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna tape my eyebrows. I'm taping my eyebrows.
Don't
Yeah,
tape,
like-
because then you rip it off and it just all
Oh
comes
yeah,
out.
that's true.
You gotta be careful.
You should have warned them, Jen. You should have warned them.
Oh my god, this is the worst. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Ooh,
Anyways.
Oliver says blindfold them or blindfold.
No,
Yes.
what's the difference, man? What's the difference of giving a 4-year-old a blindfold versus?
Yes.
Just the whole time, just hold your fingers like
Yeah.
this and be like, Mia, like, do not go past daddy's fingers, all right? Like, Ella,
Yeah,
stay
man.
here.
Wear masks, wear
Yes.
goggles.
I know for sure Ella's gonna like take her time and be like very around the lines, and then Mia's gonna be like. Anyways,
Really great content for our channel.
Can't wait for this.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I know we're close to being done. Jen, appreciate you joining us for this comedic relief in our life right now that we so needed. Yeah, man. Hey, anyone out there who plans on being or who is a youth minister, I think we all share the same stories. It's all around the same themes a lot of times.
Throw up.
But man, this is tough. I mean, no one's perfect. Our kids aren't. I think the thing is we can't control circumstances either. That's a lot of it. But we're just asking for a lot of grace because this ministry is hard, and we look back and we laugh, but at that time we're actually freaking out most of the time.
Yeah.
Like we're
Freaking out,
actually
crying.
scared.
Yeah.
We're scared
We're
for
rolling
our
up
lives, and we're scared for the people. So anyways, we appreciate you guys listening in and listening to us, but we'll be back in a couple weeks, and we'll have some good content for you guys.
Probably not in 2, huh? We have our virtual event in 2 weeks.
Or we do a special one.
Thought about that too. Thought about that too.
Yeah, maybe we got some good stuff for you guys there.
That could be our late
Uh,
night.
Yeah.
All right.
That'd be good.
Stay tuned.
Anyways, everybody, thank you guys. Jen, great seeing you again.
You too. Good seeing you.
Thanks for the
guys.
stories. Yeah. All right, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Yep. See ya.